I'm typing this with my hands trembling, my coffee cold on the table, my heart still racing from the memory of it all. I've been holding this in for weeks, maybe months, trying to pretend it didn't happen, trying to convince myself I could just move on. But I can't. Not anymore. The anger is too raw, the betrayal too sharp. Like a knife twisting every time I think about James, about that night, about the life I thought we were building. I'm done keeping it inside. I need to let it out, to scream it into the void. Because if I don't, I might actually lose it. So here it is, the whole messy, ugly truth, and I'm not holding back, not sugarcoating a single detail. This is the story of how I planned the perfect wedding, only to watch it burn to the ground in front of everyone I loved. James and I had been together for 5 years. 5 years of late-night talks. Shared takeout containers, vacations to places we couldn't afford, promises whispered under blankets when the world felt too big. He was my rock, or so I thought. The guy who held my hand when I cried over a bad day at work, who laughed at my terrible puns, who said he couldn't wait to build a life with me. We weren't perfect, no couple is, but we were solid. We had plans. A house with a garden, a dog, maybe kids someday. When he proposed, on a rainy hike with mud on our boots and a ring he'd saved for months to buy, I said yes before he even finished the question. My heart was so full it hurt. I remember crying, laughing, kissing him while the rain soaked us through. That was a year ago. That was when I still believed in him. Planning the wedding was my everything. I'm not one of those girls who dreamed of a big white dress since childhood, but once I started, I was all in. I spent hours on Pinterest, picking out centerpieces, designing invitations, choosing a venue that felt like us. It was a small barn just outside town, rustic but elegant, with fairy lights and wildflowers. I wanted it to be intimate, 80 guests, people we loved. James was involved, or at least he pretended to be. He'd nod when I showed him fabric swatches. Say, looks great, when I rambled about seating charts. I thought he was just being a typical guy, not super into the details but happy because I was happy. God, I was sagely naive. I see it now. But back then, I trusted him blindly. The first crack appeared 3 months before the wedding. I was at his apartment, folding laundry, when his phone buzzed on the counter. I wasn't snooping. I swear, I just glanced at the screen. It was a text from someone named Claire, a coworker I'd met once at a work event. Missed you last night, it said, with a winking emoji. My stomach dropped. I stood there, holding one of his t-shirts, staring at those words like they were written in fire. When he walked in, I showed him the phone, my voice shaking. He laughed, said it was nothing. Just Claire being flirty, a joke. He said she was going through a breakup, needed a friend. I wanted to believe him. I did believe him. He hugged me, said I was overthinking. Said he only had eyes for me. I felt stupid for doubting him. I told myself it was wedding stress, my nerves getting the better of me. But the doubts didn't stop. Little things started piling up. He'd stay late at work more often, claiming deadlines. He'd get cagey when I asked about his day, changing the subject. Once, I saw him tilt his phone away when a text came through. Like he didn't want me to see. I tried to talk to my best friend, Sarah, about it. She said I was being paranoid, that James adored me, that planning a wedding makes everyone weird. My mom said the same, told me pre-wedding jitters were normal. So I pushed it down, buried the unease, told myself I was lucky to have him. I kept planning, kept smiling, kept pretending everything was fine. Then came the engagement party, 2 weeks before the wedding. It was at my parents' house, a cozy backyard setup with lanterns, a playlist I'd spent days curating, a spread of food I'd helped my mom cook. Everyone was there, our families, our friends, all toasting to our future. I wore a white sundress, my hair curled, feeling like I was floating. James was charming, as always, making everyone laugh with stories about our first date, how I spilled wine on my shirt, and he still thought I was the most beautiful girl in the room. I was so happy I could have burst. Until I overheard him. I was grabbing more wine from the kitchen when I heard his voice from the patio, low, serious, not the James the first knew. He was talking to his best friend, Mike. I froze, hidden by the doorway, my heart pounding. I don't know, man, he said. I love her, I guess, but I'm not sure I'm ready for this. Claire thinks I'm settling, says I could do better. My parents love her, though, and it's easier to just go through with it. My world tilted. Settling. Easier. Claire. The words burned into my brain. I stood there, clutching the wine bottle, my dress suddenly feeling too tight. my lungs forgetting how to breathe. He wasn't just unsure. He was faking it. For his parents. For convenience. And Claire, that coworker, wasn't just a friend. She was in his head, maybe in his heart. I don't know how I walked back outside. I don't know how I smiled, how I clinked glasses, how I didn't scream. But I knew one thing. I wasn't going to let him get away with it. Not after 5 years, not after everything I'd given him. The engagement party was just the beginning. The real explosion was coming. And I was going to make sure everyone saw it. I slammed the wine bottle down on the kitchen counter so hard it wobbled, my hand shaking as I gripped the edge, trying to keep myself from shattering right there in my parents' house. James's words echoed in my skull, settling, easier, Claire, each one a punch to the gut, and I couldn't unhear them. Couldn't pretend I hadn't just caught him admitting he didn't want this, didn't want me. The engagement party buzzed outside, laughter and clinking glasses mocking my unraveling world. But I wasn't going back out there, not yet, not until I knew how deep this betrayal ran. I grabbed my phone, my fingers moving before my brain caught up, scrolling through James's messages. Something I'd never done before, because I'd trusted him, because I'd been the idiot who believed in us. But there it was, a group chat with Mike and another name I didn't recognize. And my heart stopped when I saw the words, "Claire's right, I'm not cut out for this forever shit." I scrolled up, my breath hitching, each message worse than the last. James complaining about wedding costs, saying I was obsessed with details, joking that he'd rather be at Claire's place than dealing with my bridezilla mood swings. Mike egging him on, telling him to keep his options open. The other guy, some coworker named Derek, chiming in with laughing emojis, like my life was their entertainment. Then Claire's name popped up, not in the chat, but in a separate thread, one I hadn't seen because James had muted her notifications. "You don't have to do this, you know," she'd written last week. "You deserve someone who gets you, not someone who traps you." Traps you. I felt sick, my vision blurring, but I kept reading, because I needed to know, needed to see how far he'd gone. He'd replied, "I'm trying to figure it out. It's just hard with everyone expecting me to be the good guy." No mention of love, no mention of me, just him playing the victim, him and Claire plotting behind my back. The kitchen door swung open, and Sarah walked in, her smile fading when she saw my face. "What's wrong?" she asked, stepping closer, but I held up a hand, my voice sharp. "Did you know?" She blinked, confused. "Know what?" I shoved my phone at her, the group chat open, James's words glaring like neon signs. Her eyes widened, her mouth opening, but no words came out. "You're his friend too," I said, my voice trembling. "Did you know he was talking to Claire? Did you know he thinks I'm a trap?" Sarah shook her head, stammering, "I swear, I had no idea. He never said anything like that to me." But I didn't believe her, not fully, because Sarah always defended him, always told me I was overreacting. And now I wondered if she'd been covering for him all along. I pushed past her, back to the backyard, where James was holding court, charming my aunt with some story, his laugh so easy, so fake. I wanted to scream, to throw my phone at him, to make everyone see the liar he was, but I held it together, barely. I walked up, my smile tight, and said, "James, can we talk?" He looked at me, his eyes flickering with something, guilt, maybe, or just annoyance. "Sure, babe," he said, too casual, following me to the side of the house, away from the crowd. The second we were alone. But his voice cracked, and I knew I had him. I held up my phone, the group chat open, his own words damning him. "You're not cut out for forever, huh? You're just going through with it because it's easier? Tell me, James, when were you going to tell me you don't love me?" He stepped back, hands up, like he could ward off the truth. "You went through my phone," he said, his voice rising, trying to flip it on me. "That's not okay. You're invading my privacy." I laughed, a bitter, ugly sound. "Privacy? You're texting your coworker about leaving me. You're joking with your buddies about how I'm not enough, and you're mad about privacy." He ran a hand through his hair, pacing, muttering. "It's not like that. You're twisting it. Claire's just a friend. She's going through stuff." But I wasn't buying it, not anymore. I stepped closer, my voice steady now, cold. "You don't get to lie to me anymore. I heard you with Mike. I saw the texts. I know you're settling. So tell me, right now, do you even want this wedding?" He froze, his eyes darting, searching for an escape, but there was none. "I love you," he said finally, but it was weak, rehearsed, like he was reading a script. Then why are you telling Claire you could do better? I shot back, and he had nothing, no answer, just silence. That silence was louder than any confession, louder than the party still humming behind us, louder than my breaking heart. I turned to walk away, but he grabbed my arm, his voice desperate. Don't do this, not here, not in front of everyone. I yanked free, glaring. You don't get to tell me what to do. You made this mess, James, and I'm not cleaning it up for you. I walked back to the party, my mind racing, my resolve hardening. I wasn't just going to end this quietly. I was going to make sure everyone knew what he'd done, and I was going to do it before the night was over. The wedding was 2 weeks away, but I already knew it wasn't happening. Not after this. I stormed back into the backyard, my pulse hammering in my ears, James's pathetic, "Don't do this," still ringing like a taunt, and before I could stop myself, I grabbed a champagne flute from a passing tray, climbed onto a chair, and tapped the glass with a spoon, the sharp clink cutting through the party's chatter like a gunshot. Heads turned. Smiles froze, my mom's eyes widened from across the lawn, and I felt every gaze lock onto me, a spotlight I hadn't planned but couldn't escape. My voice shook at first, but I didn't care. I was done playing the perfect fiancé, done protecting James's lies. Everyone, I said, my words slicing the air. I have an announcement, and I need you to hear it from me, because apparently, my future husband thinks I'm just a placeholder. Gasps rippled through the crowd, my aunt clutching her pearls, James shoving through guests to reach me, his face a mix of panic and fury. Get down. He hissed, grabbing for my arm, but I stepped back, nearly toppling the chair, my glare daring him to try again. No, James, I said, loud enough for everyone to hear. You don't get to shut me up. Not after you told Mike you're settling. Not after you texted Claire you could do better. Not after you let your friends laugh about how I'm trapping you. The backyard went dead silent. Forks clattering onto plates, someone muttering, "Oh my God," and I saw Sarah near the dessert table, her hand over her mouth, like she hadn't believed I'd go this far. I hadn't either. But the truth was out now, and I wasn't stopping. James's mom, Linda, pushed forward, her voice sharp. This is inappropriate. You're embarrassing yourself. Let's talk privately. I laughed, a raw, jagged sound, and turned to her. Embarrassing? Your son's been lying to me for months, texting his coworker about leaving me, and you want me to keep it quiet to save his face. I held up my phone. The group chat still open, and read aloud, my voice steady now. Claire thinks I'm settling. It's easier to just go through with it. That's your son, Linda. That's the man you raised. People whispered, heads shaking, my cousin Ryan looking at James like he wanted to punch him. Linda's face flushed red, but she didn't speak, just stood there, clutching her purse like it could shield her from the truth. James lunged for the phone, but I yanked it back, nearly falling, and that's when Claire herself appeared, stepping out from the crowd. Her sleek black dress and smug smile making my blood boil. I hadn't even known she was here, hadn't seen her slip in, but there she was, the woman who'd been poisoning my life from the shadows. You're making a scene, she said, her voice calm, patronizing, like she was above it all. Maybe you should calm down. This isn't James's fault. He's just confused. Confused. The word lit a fire in me, and I jumped off the chair, closing the distance between us, my voice low, lethal. Confused? He's been texting you for weeks, Claire. You told him I'm a trap. You think you can just waltz in and take my life. Her eyes flickered, but she didn't back down, smirking. If you were enough, he wouldn't be talking to me. The crowd parted, people stepping back. Sensing the storm about to break, I wanted to slap her, to scream, but instead, I turned to James, who was standing there, mute, his eyes darting between us like a trapped animal. Say something. I demanded, my voice cracking. Tell everyone she's lying. Tell them you love me. Tell them you're not throwing away 5 years for her. He opened his mouth, closed it. His silence louder than any words, and that's when I knew, really knew, he'd already made his choice. My mom rushed over, grabbing my arm, whispering, "Honey, let's go. This isn't you." But I shook her off, tears burning my eyes. No, Mom, this is me. This is me done being lied to, done being the fool. I ripped off the engagement ring, the one I'd worn with pride, and threw it at James's feet, the tiny diamond glinting in the grass. You want Claire? Have her, I said, my voice breaking but strong, but you don't get to have me, not anymore. I turned, pushing through the crowd, their whispers following me like a wave, and I didn't look back. Not when James called my name, not when Linda shouted about family loyalty, not when Sarah tried to follow. I got in my car, slammed the door, and drove, my hands gripping the wheel, my heart a mess of rage and relief. But then my phone lit up, a text from an unknown number, and my stomach dropped when I read it. "You'll regret this. You can't just humiliate him and walk away." It wasn't James, it wasn't Claire, and that's when I realized this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. Someone else was watching, someone who wasn't done with me yet. I slammed on the brakes in my apartment parking lot, my phone buzzing relentlessly. That anonymous text still burning in my mind. "You'll regret this. You can't just humiliate him and walk away." And before I could process it, another message flashed, this time from James. "We need to talk. You can't end it like this." My hands shook as I deleted it, my chest tight with fury, but I wasn't fast enough to block the next one. From Claire, a single line. "You're pathetic. He never wanted you." I threw the phone onto the passenger seat, screaming into the empty car, the sound raw, primal, because this wasn't just about James anymore. It was a war. And I was done running. I stormed upstairs, grabbed my laptop, and started typing, my fingers flying, a public post on every social media platform I had, laying out everything, the texts, the betrayal, the engagement party meltdown, naming James, Claire, Mike, all of them, because if they wanted to play dirty, I was going to burn their world down. The post went live at 2 a.m. My words sharp, unfiltered, 5 years, a ring, a future, all a lie. James admitted he's settling, Claire told him I'm a trap, and his friends laughed while I planned our wedding. Here's the proof. I attached screenshots, the group chat, Claire's texts, every damning word, and within minutes, notifications exploded, likes, shares, comments from friends, cousins, even strangers. "You're so strong. He's trash. Get them." But then the backlash hit, messages from James's friends. "You're crazy. Stop lying." And one from his sister, Emily. "You're ruining his life. Take it down, or you'll be sorry." I laughed, bitter, because ruining his life? He'd ruined mine first. I didn't sleep, just watched the post spread, my phone a battlefield, and by morning, it had thousands of shares, my truth out there, unstoppable. I was making coffee, bleary-eyed, when someone pounded on my door, so loud I dropped the mug, ceramic shattering across the floor. "Open the door now." James's voice, furious, unhinged, nothing like the charming guy I'd loved. I froze, my heart racing, but I wasn't backing down, not after everything. I yanked the door open, and there he was, eyes bloodshot, hair a mess, Claire behind him, arms crossed, smirking like she'd already won. "Take the post down," he shouted, stepping forward, but I held my ground. My voice steady. "Why?" "So you can keep lying. So you can pretend you didn't humiliate me?" He jabbed a finger at me, his face red. "You're making me look like the bad guy. You're blowing this out of proportion." I said I loved you. "Loved me?" I snapped, stepping closer, my voice rising. "You told Claire you could do better. You told Mike I'm a trap. You stood there while she insulted me at our party, and now you're mad because I told the truth." Claire laughed, a sharp, cutting sound, and said, "You're delusional. He's with me now, move on." I turned on her, my rage boiling over. "With you? He's a coward who can't even admit what he wants. You're not winning. You're just his next mistake." Her smirk faltered, but James grabbed my arm. His grip tight, his voice low. "Take it down, or I'll make sure everyone knows you're unhinged. I'll ruin you." I yanked free, my skin burning where he'd touched me, and that's when I saw Emily. His sister, standing by their car, recording everything on her phone, her face blank, calculating. I laughed, a wild, desperate sound, and pointed at her. "Go ahead, record it, post it. Let everyone see your brother threaten me. Let them see who he really is." James spun around, seeing Emily, and shouted, "Stop recording." "What the hell?" But she didn't, just kept filming. And I realized this was bigger than me, bigger than the post. It was their family's image, their perfect facade, crumbling in real time. I stepped back, my voice cold. "You don't get to scare me. James, you don't get to control this. The world knows what you did, and no threat, no video, no Claire is going to change that." I slammed the door, locked it, my heart pounding, and sank to the floor, glass shards from the mug cutting into my palms. But I didn't care. I'd drawn blood in this fight. and I wasn't done. My phone lit up again, a call from Sarah. Her voice frantic when I answered. They're saying you faked the screenshots. They're posting about you online, saying you're obsessed, unstable. You need to see this. I opened my laptop, and there it was, a post from Emily, a blurry video of me yelling, captioned, "This is the real her. Don't believe her lies." Comments poured in, some defending me, others calling me a psycho. A scorned woman out for revenge. My stomach twisted, but then I saw a new message from an unknown number, no text, just a photo, me in my car last night, taken from across the street. Someone watching, someone following. This wasn't just a social media war anymore. It was a threat, real and close, and I realized, with a chill, that James, Claire, or someone else wasn't just fighting for their reputation, they were coming for my life. I tore the photo from the anonymous text into tiny pieces, letting them scatter across my kitchen counter. Each shred a rejection of the fear that had gripped me since Emily's video and the threats that followed. And as I swept them into the trash, I made a decision, not to hide, not to fight, but to live. Fully, unapologetically, on my terms. The war with James, Claire, and their allies had consumed me, but I was done letting their poison define my story. I blocked every number tied to them, deleted my social media accounts, and packed a single suitcase, my hands steady, my heart lighter than it had been in months. I wasn't running, I was choosing myself. And that choice felt like freedom. I moved to a small coastal town 3 hours away, a place I'd visited once with Sarah years ago, where the air smelled of salt and the streets were quiet enough to hear my own thoughts. I rented a tiny apartment above a bookstore, got a job designing graphics for a local startup, and started painting again, something I hadn't done since college, each brushstroke a reclamation of the woman I'd lost in James's lies. My mom called, her voice soft, worried. "Are you sure you're okay, starting over like this?" I smiled, my voice calm. "I'm not starting over, Mom. I'm starting, period." She cried, said she was proud, and for the first time, I believed I deserved that pride. Months passed, and I heard whispers through Sarah, who'd stayed in touch despite my distance. James and Claire had split, unsurprisingly. Her moving on to someone else, him spiraling, blaming me for his ruined reputation. Emily's video had backfired, people seeing through her narrative, calling out James's threats instead. And the online storm had faded, my post a distant memory to most but a permanent scar for him. I didn't care, not anymore. I was too busy living, laughing with new friends, sketching by the ocean, healing in ways I hadn't thought possible. Then, one rainy afternoon, a letter arrived. No return address, just my name in James's handwriting. The same scrawl I'd once loved on post-it notes left on my fridge. I almost burned it, but curiosity won, and I opened it, my hand steady. He wrote of regret, therapy, how he'd seen the error of his ways, how he missed me, how he'd never meant to hurt me. "I know I don't deserve you," he wrote, "but if you ever want to talk, I'm here." I read it once, folded it, and tucked it into a drawer, not out of anger, not out of pain, but because it didn't matter. His words were empty, too late, a ghost from a life I'd left behind. I walked to the cafe down the street, ordered a coffee, and called Sarah, my voice bright. "I got a letter from James," I said, and before she could respond, I added, "I'm fine. I just wanted you to know I'm happy, really happy." She laughed, relieved, and we talked for an hour about her new job, my paintings, the life I was building. When I hung up, I pulled out my sketchbook, started drawing a self-portrait. Not the broken woman from the engagement party, but me now, eyes clear, smile real. A year later, I opened a small gallery, my paintings on the walls, friends and locals toasting to my first show. Sarah came, my mom too, their hugs warm, their pride palpable. I didn't think about James, not really, but when Sarah mentioned he'd asked about me, saying he hoped I was okay, I just shrugged, my voice steady. He doesn't get to know me anymore. That's enough. And it was. I didn't need his regret, his apologies, his guilt. I had my art, my home, my peace, and they were mine. Earned through every tear, every fight, every step away from his shadow. I stood among my paintings, glass in hand, and raised it to the room, my voice soft, strong. "To new beginnings," I said. And they echoed it, their cheers filling the space. I wasn't the fiancé who'd thrown a ring, or the woman who'd posted her pain for the world to see. I was just me, whole, free. And that was the ending I'd fought for, the one I'd always deserved.